When I read today's gospel, I recognized something. I couldn't put my finger on it at first, but the interactions were familiar. I'd heard this kind of thing before. People said Jesus had gone out of his mind. The scribes went so far as to call him possessed. Perhaps it was hyperbole, yes, but the way these sweeping generalizations sought to control and write off what the crowd didn't agree with made me think, it's more than that. So I did a bit of Googling, and it turns out there's a name for what I noticed. It's something called a thought-terminating cliché. The term was first coined by American psychiatrist and author Robert J. Lifton in the 1950s. I'd never heard this expression before. But now that I have, more makes sense about how I've been feeling and experiencing things lately. I have some insight into the ways we've been having conversations. Like it says on the tin, a thought-terminating cliché is a turn of phrase that terminates thought. It neither responds to the points raised in a debate nor addresses a matter directly. A thought-terminating cliché suggests the answer is clear and common sense, a shared experience, an obvious answer. Some examples include ending a conversation with phrases like, "I'm just saying." This indicates you can't argue with me, I'm entitled to my opinion. Or concluding, "I guess it isn't ours to question why," an attempt to suppress further analysis and inquiry. Or figuring, where there's smoke, there's fire, implying a person's guilt with no further examination of evidence needed. In just a few words, the matter is closed. In the now famous Axios interview with Jonathan Swan, Donald Trump attempted to end the discussion of his administration's handling of the coronavirus pandemic by saying that people are dying, that's true, and it is what it is. During complex discussions surrounding the UK's withdrawal from the European Union, some politicians maintained simply, Brexit means Brexit, as if it weren't any more complicated than that. And those who answer, all lives matter, to those who say Black Lives Matter, conclude the topic without ever addressing the heart of the matter. And that's what certain people in today's gospel were doing too. They said, that's crazy talk. Jesus is out of his mind. Meaning, you can't reason with that. It's pointless even to try. So where's the conversation go from there? It feels pointless to continue talking after the thought-terminating cliché, to examine anything further. Its construction makes it seem like the end of the road. But Jesus doesn't let the semantic stop sign shut down this conversation. He addresses the statements that try to silence his voice while exposing the error of their logic. How can Satan cast out Satan, he asks. If Satan has risen up against himself and is divided, he cannot stand. Jesus says he is clearing out evil, restoring people to life and community, building a new human family. He challenged their loaded language, and that took guts. Navigating thought-terminating endings is difficult, especially because some of these phrases or verbal constructs have become so prevalent. We're used to them. It isn't that people are always trying to stop dialogue or independent thought. Sometimes we're just tired, and we want to say, hey, can we bookmark this for later? I suspect mostly we use these clichés without thinking. But that's the risk, that clichés infuse our thought processes so much that we use them as crutches, substitutes for words that engage or acknowledge that more thought is needed, that there's more to say, more to find out. It's funny, now that I know about the thought-terminating cliché, I hear it everywhere. It's like someone pointing out something in an image, how it resembles something or other, or there's a hidden part to it, and you can't unsee it. The worrying part is not having noticed it before. But that's got to change. And here's the place from which I plan to start. Today's gospel gives impetus to explore the uncomfortable conversations some don't want to have and unbridle our problem-solving creativity. I vow to pay more attention to rhetoric, and maybe you'll want to too. When self-reflection is casually discouraged, curiosity quashed, and inquiry suppressed, take note. Jesus didn't let dismissive language go unchallenged. He didn't consent to end the conversation when it wasn't over. And neither should we. We don't need to stop talking. We need more conversation. New solutions, not old clichés.